Hello, Internet, and welcome to Say Report Jr., the show you should be listening to, downloading, and nope, dang it, bad, 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 bad.
You said you didn't have anything fancy,
I
and
know.
and you
Well,
still
there's
messed
fancy,
up.
and then they're screwing it up entirely. The show you should be listening to, subscribe to, and downloading every week. My name is Zach Sarowick.
And my name is Dale Decker. I almost took a drink when I was
Oh
supposed
man,
to say my name, and then I thought beforehand, we're getting the hang of this.
my my memory has also just been messing with me for like the last few days because I've been playing games that I've definitely played before and don't remember
Anything?
90% of.
Yeah,
Like
that sounds
played
about right.
Illusion of Gaia, which is a 25-year-old Super Nintendo game that we owned for our original Super Nintendo, and I have played on PC later on, like recently, like last 5 or 6 years. And I remember the opening of that game very well because it's a great opening to a game. And I remember the end when you're going up the tower and doing the massively obnoxious boss rush, and yet there was like 5 or 6 towns. I didn't just
You just
nothing. I
wiped
got
out of your
no
memory.
idea. Yeah, I have no idea what was going on in that game,
Nice,
which,
nice.
which was
I mean
great because it
that.
was like playing it for the first time all over again.
Yeah, that's good. That's the way. I should always have a 25-year gap between when I first play a game and when I play it through the second time. I think that's not true at all.
Yeah, five or six is good. Five or
Yeah,
six
yeah,
works.
no. I don't know. That I like when that happens, and I'm like, oh yeah, this. Oh yeah, that. It happened with Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past for me, and that was only like months removed from each other.
Yeah, I don't even like. I'm sure there's parts of like Link to the Past at this point I don't remember. It's been a while since I've
Mm.
played through that game.
Yeah, well,
So
like as everyone knows, I played through it for the very first time last year, the beginning of last year. Actually, yeah, it's in the anniversary area of when I was playing it, um, and trying to beat it. But and then I tried to play it like maybe 3 or 4, maybe 6 months after I had beaten it, just for fun, and I was like, where do I go? And Devin was like, you need to get I'm like, the pendants. Yep, okay. Where do
okay,
I go for the pendants?
okay. To be
And
fair, that game does put an X on your map, like
yeah,
to point
I
you in
know, but I
directions.
forgot. Okay, I forgot everything.
Gaia doesn't do that. Oh my God, Illusion of Gaia is insane. I don't know how anybody decided that that was the way to make a game because there were parts of that game where I spent 30 minutes running around a town going, what do I do next? And then I was like, let me leave the town for a second. And sure enough, there was another area to go to that wasn't there before. It's like, well, I guess that's where I go now.
Nice, nice.
Like
Yeah,
it,
that's good.
it doesn't funnel you in the best way. You're like, this is the next thing you should be
Yeah,
doing.
yeah. Nice.
Uh
Oh man.
Kingdom Hearts is obnoxious like that too. I've been playing through Kingdom Hearts because Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out soon.
Yes,
And
it does.
so for the
I've been
grand
hearing all
total,
about it.
yes, for the grand total of $100, you can get all the entire collection
Yep.
basically on
Yeah.
PS4. Oh my God. I forgot how many of those games came out.
Yeah, there's a
Speaking of
lot.
bad memory, I loaded up. So if you
Is it
get
a
that hundred
chain
dollar
of
collection,
memories?
that's in there.
Yeah, I know.
That's on that list somewhere. Because if you buy that collection right now, you have immediate access to basically all of the games that have already released, and then it will just download Kingdom Hearts 3, whatever that
Oh
comes out.
wow.
So,
Oh,
so because
so
they had
like
released,
so
so
$60 for Kingdom Hearts 3.
$100 for 9 games, like 40 extra bucks, and you get the
9
entire
games.
collection
Yeah.
that they have because they put out what do they call them? This is the other thing. Their naming convention is insane too. So it's like Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and
Yep.
2.5 Final Remix,
Yeah.
which gets you um,
Everything.
the Kingdom Hearts Final Remix, the 382 over 2 days,
Yep.
Dream Drop Distance, 2, Chain of Memories, and there's one other one.
Yeah, it's basically all the movies that were
Yeah,
like on DS, and they're like,
yeah.
yeah, we can't do this on
And
PS4.
like PSP
Here's a
and like
movie.
PSP, which doesn't
Yeah.
exist anymore. So yeah,
Yeah.
and then there it also gives you a special like 2.8, which is like the prologue bridge between Kingdom Hearts 2 and all of those games and Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
So you get all 6 or 7 of those immediately. And then
Wow.
it's like, and then whenever we finally decide to, give you Kingdom Hearts 3, which they swear is the end of this month, but, you know,
I don't
we'll see.
know.
That game's already leaked. Actually, it is
Has it
probably
really?
coming out. Yeah, because this happened with Smash Brothers as well.
Uh huh.
Retail copies went out to stores like at the beginning of the month, so they would have them for like midnight releases and stuff. And
Yeah.
sure enough, people not paying attention
Broke
or
the street date.
yeah, either on purpose or by accident
Yeah.
because I've been in that situation where a box shows up in the back of in the back room and you're like, well, put it on the floor, and then you turn around and realize, oh,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to put this out for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So so I've been playing I'm just on Kingdom Hearts. I've never played more than Kingdom Hearts, which is why I don't know why I spent the money on this thing, except for the fact that I'm fascinated by not just the concept
The
of the game,
idea. Yeah.
not just the concept of the game, which for anybody who doesn't know what Kingdom Hearts is, it's a Final Fantasy game, but instead of going to different kingdoms, you're going to different Disney worlds.
Yep.
And so like Mickey and Donald and Goofy are like your companions, and you're meeting Hercules and Tarzan and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And a bunch of the characters from like Final Fantasy 7 and 8 show up. All the ones anybody actually remembers from the PS1 era. Um,
Yeah. I've
so I've
never.
never played past that, but the enthusiastic fan base of that game blows my mind, especially if all you've ever played is the first Kingdom Hearts game, which is only like a B+ game, really. It's a fun game. I'm enjoying it. It's also like the writing is like so, the action is so. I'm having the same problem that I had with Gaia, which is I don't know where I'm supposed to be going or doing half the time
Yeah.
because this came out in the PS2 era when the idea of like a quest list didn't really exist. And so it's just like somewhere in a dialogue box that you
Yeah.
might skip by accident. Someone said what to do,
Yeah.
and
And
that's
you
all you
can
get.
never get it back.
No.
I mean, I don't.
So
Yeah, I don't know. I've told the stories of my experiences with Kingdom Hearts and trying to fight Race Ryoku Ryu
Raikou?
yeah,
Riku.
I could not say his name first. I guess Riku.
You were trying to say like Ryu from like
Yeah, I don't know why.
that one hasn't shown up in
That's a
this
different
series yet.
R. Yeah, like trying to race him and all that. So no, I have never played. I've never played Kingdom Hearts, but there's a part of me when the 2.8 thing came out, and it was like everything, every single Kingdom Hearts thing to prepare yourself. I was like, I started to consider it because I was like, I could just do it, but I don't. I'm
For
bad at playing.
for
I'm
even
bad at like keeping up with video games and playing them to completion.
well,
And
this
it's
is
like they
also
would
like
just sit there. So
this is also
why?
a series that has gone off the rails. Like the first game, very simply, the story in the first game, at least in the first half or 2/3 that I've played, I don't know. I'm 11 hours in.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means with this game. I just got through Aladdin, Agrabah world. There, that's for if anybody out there knows where I am in the game, that's where I am. Uh,
My best friend Joe would know.
Joe's gonna be like he's only like a third of the way
Yeah.
through the game. Don't
Yeah.
tell him that.
Yeah.
But
He's
like
gonna be like he
so
has
far,
no idea.
yeah, so far the story is that like someone is destroying all of these different planes of existence, and so like your character Sora is from Final Fantasy world and gets thrown out of his world and finds
Yep.
himself in all of these different Disney worlds, and so he's trying to stop these worlds from being destroyed and use this special like key-shaped weapon to find these keyholes that will lock away this darkness that's eating everything. And like crazy, Japanese anime
Yeah.
storyline, but simple enough. I happen to know that after this game, it goes bonkers as far as like there's time travel involved and like there's like conspiracies going on with all of these other like Final Fantasy characters that haven't even shown up yet.
Yeah, there's
Like
like
the reason that
characters who are the same characters, but they're different. But there's the same people,
right.
but they're
And
not.
like the way that this game series came out was Kingdom Hearts, Kingdom Hearts 2, and then you started getting all of the extra ones like Dream Drop Distance and 382 over 2 days and Reloaded Matrix Unchained
Yeah.
God nonsense coming in. And the thing is all of those are happening around the timeline in different places. So the nice thing is that when you get this HD collection, they put them in order chronologically.
Oh, that's nice. Because
So
I've
like I'm just
always
gonna
wanted to know what the
yeah.
chronological order of Kingdom Hearts was.
So you can just
Always.
go down the list now. It's like play,
Yeah.
so it's like play Kingdom Hearts, then play 382 over 2 days,
Yep.
then play Dream Drop Distance, then play two, because that's the order chronologically of things happening.
Everything I know from Kingdom Hearts has come from Joe and my friend JQ, and they have like they love it, and I keep hearing from them, "Hey, it's like they're so excited for the third one to come out." And oh my god. It's like I want to be excited. Like I just
Here's the
don't
thing.
know anything.
You could spend hundreds of hours playing through this game like I'm going to do now,
Mm,
or you could do the free thing, which
yeah.
is you go on YouTube, and I'm sure there's probably like a playlist of like in 24 hours of explainers that just is like in a day, learn everything you need to know about
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts
Yep.
and just move on.
Yep.
You're ready for three now.
It's great. Oh man.
But that's what I've been doing with my time, basically.
Nice.
It's
That's good.
just like
I mean,
sitting
that's
here
fun.
playing through these games and just like trying to understand. I'm trying to figure out the moment where people were like, I need this all the time. Beyond just like I like Final Fantasy games in anime, and also I like Disney,
Yep.
which is where I think the original fan base started, and now
It
God
has
knows where it is.
expanded everywhere. Yeah, it's great. It's cool. I don't know. I give it props. I'll give it its props. The props it is due. um, yeah. I mean, I haven't been playing video games. I've really only been playing Pokemon. I beat Pokemon. We all know that. And then you and I traded some stuff.
We did. We spent like an hour
We spent
trading.
like an hour trading Pokemon. Yeah. Now I have Nintendo Online, which is crazy. Like I have, I don't know. Like
That's an
I
interesting
knew it was
thing.
gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen. I just didn't expect it to happen so quickly.
It's such a weird thing because it's basically like pay us $4 a month so you can trade your Pokemon for an hour. Like that's what they're asking for.
Yeah, like
Um,
I knew that once I got Pokemon, it would be the time for me to get Nintendo Online. But it's like now I don't know what I'm gonna use it for other than you playing like Ninja Gaiden. I'm gonna
yeah,
try and beat Ninja Gaiden, and
that's
that's
another
it.
that's another weird thing is their Nintendo their NES online library thing, their like streaming
Yep,
library is weird
it's very weird.
because theoretically they're adding like two or three games a month to that,
Oh
but they
really?
choose really weird times to do it. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
good.
that
Hmm.
originally when it launched in what, September, October last year,
I think it was September.
whatever it was, whatever random
Yeah,
day they
yeah.
chose to do it after a
Oh,
year and a
by the
half
way,
of the system
guys.
being out. Yeah. There was only like 20 games. And it
Yeah.
was fairly funny because it was like half of those games were on the NES Classic and the other half were just like really random games that they threw up there. And then every month they've added two or three, but they don't, it's not the same date. It's not like on the first of the month or the first Monday of the month.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not like Xbox or PS4 where it's like you can set your like timer
right.
to it.
It's like sometime this month we're going to give you these three games and they'll show up eventually whenever we're ready to put
Yep.
them up there.
Yeah.
Um,
Jeez.
but one of the interesting things, I don't know if you've looked through the library, but one of the interesting things they did was they've re-released a couple with a special tag. Have you
Yep.
seen that?
Yeah, I saw Devin was reading through when we got online. Devin was reading through them, and it's like Legend of Zelda special, Metroid special, and it's basically like New Game Plus, where you
Yeah.
have everything at your disposal and you can just play.
Or at least the stuff that makes it like the easiest to get into it, like
Yeah.
like the original Legend of Zelda. Instead of making you find everything, they're like, well, here's a couple of bombs and the sword and a bow and arrow. So that makes it like 10 times easier to get through the first 20 to 30 minutes of this game
Yeah.
before you have to actually collect these things. So
Yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It's interesting. I'm gonna see how long I keep online though, because I don't
I
know if
mean,
I'm gonna keep it for that long,
and it really depends
unless
on
I
what
have a
you
reason to.
right. It depends on what other games come out, right? Like
Yeah.
Smash Online,
Yes.
you need this for, and I think everything, even Splatoon, like that was the big controversy was that they added Splatoon 2 to that list, even though Splatoon 2 had been out for like a year for
Yeah.
free.
I
Which I
mean,
think they told everybody that was going to happen, but still, it's kind of a crappy thing to
yeah.
do.
Like
Um,
the things that I'm thinking of is I could get back into like I could play Paladins if I'm bored and like
but
want
see,
a
you
game
don't
to play.
But what's interesting about that is you don't need Nintendo Online for that.
You don't?
Paladins and Fortnite, you don't
I could have
because
been
they
playing
are.
Paladins this whole time.
Oh yeah, did you not
I
know?
have
Oops,
not been
sorry.
playing. I
Oh
have
yeah,
not been playing Paladins
yeah.
because I'm
The
like,
way
I
that
don't want to deal with it yelling at me because I need online.
No, because the way that it works is the same way that actually
What?
Sony and I think Microsoft handle this the same way, which is if it is a free game that is an online only experience, it's basically you can still do that. It's only when the game is paid and then has an online thing to go
Oh
with,
man.
component to go with it.
Well,
Yeah,
I take back my statement then. I wish Kirby had some online. Kirby Star Allies.
that would be great.
I
That
would
would be great
love
if you could
that.
do that.
Like, oh, it'd make me so happy. Cause there's new DLC for that, and I need to play through it. But it would make me so happy if there was online. Like, I think I really am only gonna use online when Pokemon's around. Honestly,
That's fair.
like
That's totally fair. It's like, yeah, no.
whenever the
Hey,
2019 one comes out, like that's what I'm gonna be using it for, if anything.
I mean, I still haven't renewed CBS All Access because Discovery season 2 doesn't come out till Friday.
Yeah.
So
So
like,
you just
despite the
hold
fact that
off.
there are 4 shorts I still need to watch, but I'll watch them Friday morning, and then
And you'll be set.
yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. The other thing I did was I saw Aquaman and D-Box.
Yeah. So what is?
Wait,
I think the guys have explained this
yes.
before,
So
but I have completely wiped it from my memory because again, bad memory.
so
What is the D-Box experience?
D-Box, the way that I think I just misinterpreted it when Devin explained it to me, because I expected to walk into like a theater that was all D-Box, and that it would kind of be like a 4D experience, so there would be effects coming at you too. That is what I expected, and what I got was a regular movie theater with 2 rows of D-Box seating that were just motion seating. Like it
Okay,
just moved
so
you.
that's kind of
So,
essentially what the theater in Ohio was when I went to see CJ, except we didn't have movement. They were just really nice
yeah,
chairs. But
yeah.
they were advertising those like Disney interactive
Yep.
D-Box seats like out in the lobby. My father sat in one
Oh my
after the
god.
movie. We went and saw Mary Poppins Returns, and then my father goes in the lobby and sits down in one of these chairs and watched the trailer for Mary Poppins Returns just so he could feel the
That's
chair move.
fantastic. I mean, that's fantastic. That's so good. I love it. That's awesome. Oh my god, I would do that. That's something I'd be like, yeah, I need to just do it. It's for a movie I've already seen, so I need to do it now.
Uh,
No, it was cool. It was just not what I was expecting at all. And the seats were like weirdly comfortable. Like they kind of forced you to sit up, so you couldn't recline in them. You couldn't really like slouch. Like you couldn't, like I didn't feel comfortable in them. Like they were plush, they were cushy, so that they like felt nice. This is a weird way to be describing this.
no, I get it's like
But like you
when you're
were,
forced into a certain position,
yeah,
it doesn't matter how comfortable that position is. The idea that you can't choose to shift if you want
exactly.
to.
Like the thing, you basically had to sit with like proper posture to like really kind of get the motion. So
Right.
maybe like Conspiracy Unlocked. I know I stole that from you because I know you're gonna do something later with that.
I mean, you did
But
create
I
it.
know,
Like, let's
but
not.
Conspiracy Unlocked, D-Box seatings are just a way to fix the posture epidemic in this world. Uh,
Well,
that
kind of,
was
except that they want you to sit properly so they can then like
move you
move your
around.
spine,
Yeah,
move your spine as they see fit.
yeah, exactly. Uh, so no, so like you have to sit there kind of like upright, and they're still pretty like. I also thought that I would kind of be able to not touch the ground. Like I thought I would have room for my feet. Not really the case, but it's okay. It was cool. Like it's definitely a experience that I think people, if you want to do it but because it's fun. It is cool. It's cool. It's sometimes jarring because like you forget, or like my recommendation is that you go see a D-Box movie with a movie you've already seen, because otherwise it could be distracting to you, like taking the movement and
Right.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
So, but there were moments where I forgot things like big explosions would happen during Aquaman, and the seat would just like start like shaking, and then all of a sudden, and you're like jolted around, and I'm like, oh, I forgot that was gonna happen, but this is cool. Like, I'm so happy that I forgot it was gonna happen because I got to experience it with the D-Box. So it was cool. It was just afterwards, like my legs hurt because I was trying to like lift my legs up, and like, you know how you like lock your legs in a position for a long time?
Oh yeah.
So like I was trying to do that, and I'm like, oh, this hurts, but I want to feel like I'm swimming. So I'm gonna do it for the movie, for the experience. But I don't know. I'd do it again. I would do it again with a movie that I've seen. So I guess that's a way to look at it. If I would do it again, it's good enough. You know?
Yeah.
It was also weird because 10 minutes into the movie, I was so afraid that it was going to be a terrible experience because 10 minutes into the movie, so you pick your seats. You pick your seats for the D-Box. You get assigned seats. And there were people who couldn't really find their seats, or they were just sitting in them, but they weren't active, so they were just like regular seats. And then there were other people just sitting in them, and then they had to move. 10 minutes into the movie, now there are two girls sitting behind me. 10 minutes into the movie, this guy and his son or his grandson come in, and loud, like very, very loud and distracting. And they walk behind Devin, and I can hear them like, God, come on, like just sit down, shut up. Like, you're 10 minutes into the movie, you shouldn't be here right now. So, they sit down, and the guy's like, oh, is your seat moving? It should be activated. It should be activated. And then he's like, I don't think these are our seats. What seat number we are in? Like, loud. Like, as loud as you would be talking to, like, just, like, normal decibel, not movie decibel talking, you know?
Yeah.
And then he turns on his fucking flashlight on his phone and is shining it around the theater and, like, getting in my eye, getting in Devin's eye, shining on the seats on the bottom, trying to see the numbers, and then he's like, she's in my seat! And he points to the girl who's sitting behind me, and I'm like, oh my god, just what is happening?
Get an usher. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, and then so he goes up to the girl, and he's like, hey, you're in my seat. And she's like, someone bought these for us, which I don't know if, you have assigned seats, so how could they also have the same assigned seats? So I don't know what happened. But then he just, like, stormed out, left his kid there, just like this maybe 8-year-old kid, 8 or 9-year-old kid in the theater, left for like another 5 minutes, went and got an usher, and then the usher with a flashlight comes up, and the girls had already moved. So, because they were like, we're not dealing with it, we're just gonna move. So they moved while he left, and so they sat down, and I'm like, what is that? You're lucky I've already seen this movie. You are lucky that I have already seen this movie, because otherwise, it's not going to be a pretty show.
Oh man, none of this would have ever happened at an Alamo, because at an Alamo, once the actual movie starts,
right?
Well, not just that. The way the rules are, once the movie starts, they close the door.
Yeah,
so the only way you're getting
in
back, the only time you can like go into the theater after the movie starts is if you were in there already and got up to like use the bathroom.
Yeah.
But like once the trailers run, and then they run their big promo that's like, no talking, here's the rules, if there's you get a warning, and then we'll kick you out. And also, once the movie starts, the doors are closed. You cannot just come in anymore.
I just, like, that's the way you should run a theater. And I wish there was an Alamo Draft House closer by, because I would just go there. But it was an experience. But ultimately, I would recommend doing D-Box at least once with a movie you've already seen.
And preferably people who know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. But the seats were big. Like, Devin and I, like, we kept a seat between us because we didn't know if with the moving around we would be hitting each other.
Right.
But no, like, the seats were really nice and big. and like gave you the room to like flail if you needed to.
Yeah, I would think with all of like I mean, between the fact that you're talking about a company that designs theme park rides, so
Yeah.
they know what they're doing, but also like all of the hydraulics and other crap that have to go into those things, they have to
Yeah.
like they need room to move themselves.
Yeah. It
So like
was,
just by nature, they have to like give you space to
yeah.
breathe
Yep.
while you're
Yep.
doing that.
But like I was just wondering, I'm like, what if like a kid did this and he's like moving around
With an
like
8-year-old kid just being jerked all over the place.
yeah.
Around all over
I'm like, I wonder if they're gonna be small or big. Like I don't know, but it was good. It was cool. It was an interesting experience. Yeah. Are
well,
those by Disney? Hold on. Are the D-Box by Disney?
I assumed that's what the D meant.
I don't think so.
I know that there's okay. Well, let me put it this way: the ones that we saw in Ohio, they were Disney specific. So
were
I don't know if
Disney
those were,
specific?
I don't know if they were. I don't know if those were considered D box or if they were just like a Disney interactive seating or something. I
don't
didn't
know.
see the. Like, I didn't actually
Well, it was a Mary
think about it.
Poppins movie though too. It was
Right,
Disney.
like like the thing was themed was all labeled Disney, but I don't remember the word specifically D box being there. But I
Oh,
just
so I don't
guess
think it is because there was
probably not
no
because DC is obviously not a Disney
yeah,
company.
and
So that was
also
strange.
there was not a single like Disney logo on these seats, and I
Yeah.
don't think Disney would have had a logo somewhere.
Yeah, the ones we
So
saw
it's not.
definitely were like labeled Disney, which is
Oh
interesting.
yeah,
So
no. So it's different, like probably
right,
the same
theater chains and
idea,
stuff.
but
Well, right.
different ways of executing it. So, but yeah, that's really been my week, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Orville, which I feel like is what we should talk about now.
Yeah, I mean, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is back, and it felt very
Nine-Nine!
comfortable. Yeah, it felt very like the only thing I'm going to say about it is that it felt like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine
Yeah,
episode. Like it didn't
it was
feel
great.
the production felt the same. The writing felt comfortable. All of the characters were there. You know, you always get that situation sometimes where like a thing changes stations, and all of a sudden like half the cast is gone because they couldn't go with it. That happened to Supergirl when
Yeah.
it moved from CBS to CW because they started filming in LA the first season, and then the second season they moved to Vancouver in Canada with all the other CW shows. And so like half the cast were like, I live in
Can't do
LA though.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I was very very happy with the first Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode, and it was just yeah, it just felt like no time had passed, nothing was changed.
Well, like the
It
smart
was
choice
just
to just like literally pick up off that
oh yeah,
cliffhanger from the
yep,
end of the last season was like, oh yeah, this is still the show,
mhm,
by the way. So,
yeah, it was cool, it was good.
uh, at the Orville, on the other hand, I thought made some very interesting choices with the start of its second
Um,
season.
yeah, yeah,
Starting with the first episode, which felt like weirdly like a bottle episode, like we need to save money episode, which
yes,
makes me think there's either well, we're gonna get into what I think deeply here in a second,
yeah.
but part of that is possible that they have a bunch of plans for later this season,
Oh yeah, it's
so
gonna
they're
be
just saving
crazy.
money up front.
Yeah. I just
Uh,
it was definitely more of, hey, we're still a show. We're going to show you all these people again and introduce these characters again, and we're just going to have a chill time. We're just going to hang out. We're going to get you reacclimated. We're going to throw in some of Claire's childs.
we're gonna throw in some new.
with the kids.
Yeah, so the first
Remind
episode
you that she
specifically.
has kids.
Yeah, the first episode specifically is like is definitely like that. It takes
Yeah.
place all on the ship. You've got about 8 different like threads that they're picking up and reminding you about. Ed and God, what's
Kelly.
thank you. Ed
You're
and Kelly have yes. Ed and Kelly have like broken things off again, and now Kelly is seeing someone, and
Yep.
like Isaac the robot is hanging out with the doctor and her kids, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
The 2 episodes after that, though, and this is where we're going to get into my conspiracy,
Okay.
are I think season 1 episodes. I think that
What?
they had originally planned for 12 or 13 episodes for their first season and only got 10. Because the Alara episode, which I think we should really talk about how great it is, also felt like a season 1 finale to me. Also felt like that felt like because it is very strange. Spoiler alert for this 3rd episode of the Orville, everybody, just very quickly. It is very strange to have a character leave in the third episode of the
Yeah.
second season. It's
Yep.
a strange timing. And so I kind of feel like I don't know if they filmed it for the first season, but I feel like it was written as a possible like either yeah, as like a possible season 1 finale
Hmm.
before they got into the
I
second
mean,
season stuff.
that information very well could exist. Like you could go
It
on,
could.
you
I
could,
just like
you could probably go on the Wikipedia and find out production dates and whatnot,
yeah.
because like Devin's done that, and he has found a lot of shows that have gone out of order, and it's exactly, they thought they were gonna get more episodes and they didn't, and then found out, hey, you guys are like, too bad, sorry, just throw them in because you already made them, you
Yeah,
know?
especially when you get into like actor contracts of like
Yeah.
the actor that played Alara might have only been contracted for
Yeah.
13 episodes, thinking that was going to be your last one. So when the first season was only 10, they only had her for 3 episodes in the
I
second
don't know.
season, stuff like
I
that. I don't know.
I
I don't know. The other
honestly,
thing is that she could come back this weekend. Like that's the other thing is that we
yeah,
don't know what their plans are.
yeah.
And I don't want to cheapen that either. It's an amazing episode. And there's a reason I didn't go and look for that stuff because like quite frankly, I don't care. The
Yeah.
episode was too good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a great episode until she leaves. Like, it makes me so sad. Like, I was crying, bawling my eyes out because Alora, what the hell? Alara is my top favorite character. And it's just like, now I don't know if I want to continue. Like, I feel like she needs to come back. Like, she just needs to, because it felt really all of a sudden, it felt very out of nowhere, like you said. I mean, the it makes sense. And I'm hoping that it was a season 1 finale and that they just were like, "Hey,
Right.
we need something." Um,
And there's also like I said, I think the way if she comes back,
yeah.
that's the other thing. If she comes back, the way she comes back is going to be the thing that again, without doing any research, I'm gonna like headcanon it. Because if she comes back because like for the next like 2 weeks, the guy that replaced her they have problems with, and Ed is constantly begging her to come back and finally gets her back or something, it's
Yeah.
gonna feel like, oh, they had some contract renegotiation to do.
Mhm.
But if it's like half a season and then like
All of a sudden she's
mid-season
back.
finale or mid-season or the first season back from if they even have a mid-season finale with their starting in January. I don't know how that works. Like she comes back in some grand fashion for something, then it's going to feel like, okay, this is probably what they had planned all along and things just got screwy with the production schedule or something.
Yeah. I don't
Like
know.
that's I don't know.
I really hope so. You think the second one was too, though?
Yes, only because it felt that second episode felt a lot like one of the earlier episodes in the first season where they had this happened with Star Trek a lot.
But
This is where Zach's going to geek out about Star Trek a lot. Um, every now and then, especially on Next Generation, you have, I mean, most episodes you have like an A plot, B plot structure.
Yep.
Sometimes they would be connected. Sometimes they wouldn't because they literally had two disparate episodes that they couldn't make fit anywhere, so they just stuck them together. And that second episode really felt like we have this story we want to tell, and we have this other more sci-fi story we want to tell. So what can we do to marry those two things together and stick them together?
should we explain what the episode is about for people who haven't seen it?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
we should.
basically, if you haven't seen the Orville, go watch the first season and then come back and listen to the rest of this episode. Because we're just gonna.
We also have an episode in the past where we dove
we
really hard into the Orville.
we
You can listen
really
to that
do.
too.
You can listen to that as well. But basically, there's a Bortus who is the third in command, right?
I believe so. Yes.
There is a simulator on the ship, and he starts going to the simulator to experience pornographic situations.
In lieu of
in-
having actual intimacy in his own marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the conflict of the episode is that he, was doing that, and that Clyden, who is his husband, or mate or partner, I don't know how they would. They would probably.
I believe they say.
Mate.
I believe they say mate.
They say
yes.
mate, right? So his mate, pretty much tries to divorce him, and because
In
he
like the
felt.
most Klingon way
Yes.
possible.
Oh
I
my
love,
god,
by the
that
way.
was crazy. That was awesome. Like I loved it. Like I
Uh,
loved it, but it was like really sad at the same. Like I cried. I cried again. Because I was like, oh man. And then they find out that Bortus is doing this porn stuff, and it's revealed that Bortus is still having like anger against Clyden for
the one of the
um
most phenomenal seasons
yeah.
episodes of the
Oh
first
my
season,
god.
which you should go back. I wish I knew the name of it off
I
the top of my head, but there is
about a girl, I think is what
about
it's
a
called.
girl. Okay, go back and watch that. We're not going to go into a ton of detail about it because it's amazing.
Yes.
But the results of the end of that episode caused a rift in in their marriage.
Yes.
That's kind of what's going on, which I love that there is like a continuation of that. I do like this story.
Yes, I do too. And it's just it's so evident throughout the rest of the Orville season 1 that Bortus is he just becomes he's already reserved. Like their species is very reserved and very straightforward, and I don't know, they're basically
Because they're all
like
male, they theoretically they're a single gender species and they
yes.
do consider themselves all to be male. And part of that is also the like toxic masculinity. I'm
Yes.
holding all of my feelings in and I don't discuss these things
Yeah.
unless it's important. Yeah.
So he has that already about him, but there's more. There's somehow more of it whenever he is talking to Clyden, or whenever he is, there's situations where it'll show more, and it's like clearly he is upset about what had happened, and he is upset at Clyden, and he is upset with himself too because he allowed it to happen, and it's just like you can tell, but it's one of those things where something is happening but you're not quite sure, like you don't remember why because of everything else that's going on in the episode, um or in the season. So seeing that like come to a breaking point really was crazy and awesome, for me.
No, and I did like the story. Like I said, I like
Yeah.
that story. I even do like the other story a little bit,
Of
just as
the
like a
porn.
sci-fi story.
Oh,
It
by the
just
way, he puts a virus in the
right. So what happens? So what happens theoretically, and so the way that the two plots get connected in the story, the other thing that's going on is that they're orbiting a planet that's about to break up, and they find out that the people are still living on it under the surface, and
Yes.
they decide they can't leave. Which is another interesting thing to me that they don't have. They don't seem to have like a prime directive thing that like Star Trek had, and so like. I think they went there assuming everybody was already dead, and then they found out that there were people living under the
Yeah.
surface. Is that
Yep.
how that worked out?
Yeah.
So
They thought it was a they thought that civilization had already been destroyed by the star, I believe, or by the
right.
planet or something.
Right. So basically, they need to do a rescue mission for these people, and they needed a reason for the ship to not be working properly.
Yep.
That's kind of what it feels like. And so you have this other story going on with Bortus
Yep.
using the I don't know why for a second there I was like, no, that's not it. Yes, it is. Bortus using the simulator, and so he uses a like illegal porn copy in there, which puts a virus in the system and starts to break the ship down. And so like it felt very much like they had 2/3 of an episode with the Bortus stuff and didn't really know how to fill out the last third. And so they were like, well, we could have this other sci-fi thing going on and this just affects it. Because every time they went to that, it felt so much like a different episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like
Well, that's
and like it really only like ultimately for its service to the main plot of the episode is that like Bortus gets to do something heroic enough that he doesn't get fired. Like that's the
yeah.
only thing it really serves in the
Yeah.
whole plot of the episode.
But it's also kind of cool. Like the Orville does a really cool thing of balancing like, holy crap, this stuff is serious with this ship is stupid. Like, like the stuff that people are still living on this ship and still have lives and still have like they basically like they have quarters. They live on this ship and still have social lives and do all that. So they're still going to do some dumb things.
And I think a lot of that
But
comes from
we're also in
from
space.
yeah, anybody that's like watched Star Trek the way that I think Seth MacFarlane and a lot of Trekkies have over the years is to you watch you could watch 7 years of Next Generation and you have those questions where
Yeah.
you're like, what
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 do
do
you
you
guys
do
do
when
on
you're
your off
not
time?
on this bridge?
Yeah.
Because you don't seem to do anything unless we need something to happen in your quarters for a plot. Otherwise, we don't see it.
Yeah.
And like Orville is very much going like, no, 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 no. Like there's other like sitcom-y, normal human and alien BS
Yeah.
happening all around all of this crazy stuff on the bridge where we're trying to stop a planet from imploding so we can save the people living inside of it.
Yeah.
It's like,
But I think that it's done it really really well, especially for like now. Like for dealing with like dual narrative stuff and an A and B plot and all of that. Like I think it does a really really good job. And it does it like almost perfectly. I don't want to say perfectly because I'm sure there's flaws, but like especially in that episode, it takes you away from the whole Bordist stuff for just the right amount of time to kind of make you forget about it. So then when I don't know if I want to like bring psychology into this, but it like shocks us with Bordis and then makes us forget about Bordis. And then as soon as you see Bordis's face or just like his outline or his body, like you are just like, "Oh yeah, crap. Like what is going to happen now and how is it going to how is it going to affect everything else?" Like it really does kind of mess with I don't think that they actually think about this, but the way I am looking at it, it messes with your mind and your memory of how things go
right.
and
I think that's
everything.
that's
And
why
it
you
does it
have
really really well in that episode. It does it
right. And
perfectly in that
I think
episode.
that's where the A and B plot structure of television came from, right? It was
Yes.
like we can't. Part of it was time filler. Like it's a lot easier to just write two 20-minute stories and
Yeah.
put them together than it is a 40-minute story.
Yep.
But also, we're doing something really heavy. Take 2 minutes to breathe and think
Yes,
about it,
exactly.
because otherwise, it's very easy for that story to. I mean, Bortus looks bad no matter what, and that's part of it. That's part of what's going on is he needs to figure his shit out. But I think it would be very easy if the entire episode was about that to make Bortus look worse and worse and worse and
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
And so, and part of that, like, we need to give him a heroic moment is like we need to remind the audience that he is good at his job
Yes,
also.
exactly.
Like,
Well, that's how A and B plots come together. Like I learned about A and B plots by watching like That's a Raven and Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, cuz at one point when I was watching those, it like clicked that oh, there are two stories going on and by the end of the episode they're going to intertwine. Let's see how it happens.
right. And in the
You
best
know?
ways,
And it's
they
like
do intertwine and become one
yes.
story.
Oh
And in the
yeah.
worst ways, it is someone does something in this plot that sets off one single thing that's
Yes.
going to affect the other thing, and that could have been one of a million things that did that. So,
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Orville also it's weird. Like you say the whole it's like we're having something heavy, let's give her some time to breathe, which like yes, that is
But it's time to breathe as the planet is imploding.
yes.
Like, yeah,
Yes. It's like no, like the Orville doesn't really give you that time to breathe. Like if anything the Bordis stuff when he's in the simulator is like your time to breathe or like maybe when he's walking down the hall you get 5 seconds of when Bordis is walking down the hall to like breathe for a second and then shit's gonna hit the fan again.
yeah.
It's
But yeah,
crazy. I really like how it's structured in that
it-
way.
yeah. But again, I'm interested to see what happens like this weekend going
Me
forward.
too.
Now
I
that we're
am
into like episode 4,
yeah.
because the other thing is that like there was a character introduced in the first episode of this season that did not show
No.
up for the next 2 episodes, which is
Yeah.
part of the reason why I think those 2 episodes were at least written for the first season.
Okay. All right.
That's part of
I
it.
see
Like
what you're saying.
also as just thinking as like a bridge, right? Like
Yeah.
you get about a girl at the beginning of the season, and so you get the conclusion to that toward the end of the season, as opposed to next season when people may have forgotten what's going on.
Yeah.
And then also the final shot of Alara's episode is a callback to something that happened in episode 1 that I completely forgot about
Oh,
until
really?
yeah.
Oh no.
Like I completely forgot that conversation happened. It took me a minute to click in my head.
maybe
So like
maybe it's cuz we rewatched them
That's the other. Yeah.
Like
See,
up
I haven't
until
rewatched them since the season was on.
but so we've been watching them with our parents, and as soon as the spoilers again for Orville, as soon as Alara brings him the present, my mom's like, "That's a jar of pickles," and I was like, "Maybe," knowing full well that she was correct.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, "Yeah, there's no way it's not gonna be a jar of pickles." Like, damn, I wish I got there. But she said it, and she's like, as soon as she walked in with that box, my mom was like, "Yeah, that as soon as he opens that up, it's gonna be a jar of pickles. You watch, you watch." I was like, "Okay, it's great. I love it." I get what you're saying. The only thing is that Topa is much older.
That's true.
In
Which might mean that they were episodes written for season 1 that then just got transferred to season 2 as well. They might have just been
wait,
produced later.
hold on. Ooh, hold on. Does Topa ever show up in the second episode?
Yes, because they have dinner at some point, and
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say Topa shows up in the first episode of season 2.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I'm thinking of the first episode now that you say that. I don't remember.
No, it's definitely they're having dinner or something or breakfast, and Clyden is like, "I want to spend time with you tonight."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And Bortus was like, "I'm not having this conversation," and it's just poor little Topa like in the middle of it, watching them converse and everything.
Yeah.
Cause Topa, I mean, they have my dad and I think my dad and Devin were like talked about this or whatever. Topa obviously like grew older very quickly because he only took 21 days to be born.
I mean, that's the other part to it. We have no
So-
idea. Like when you start putting in species, especially with
Yeah.
something like the Orville, which is satirizing this stuff in a
Yep.
lot of ways. The idea that like, oh yeah, by the way, we just happen to grow like five times faster than you people, so
Yeah.
don't be surprised when a 20-year-old comes walking in the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, and Topa he was probably like 10. I don't know, maybe like 8. I don't know, but he is older in that first
You're right.
episode of season 1. So that's my only thing of maybe episode 2 is still for season 2, unless
It's all
maybe all
possible.
3 of them were supposed to be for season 1.
I mean, it's also. I mean, I don't think the first episode was. I really don't,
No.
only because of the way that it's still connecting a bunch of stories from like it's definitely reminding you about stuff.
Yeah.
And I also wonder, like, there's also a part of me that again, it feels like that was a low budget episode so that
Yeah.
they could spend it on stuff later. So it's
Actually-
also possible that the 2 episodes that 2 and 3 were just like conceived of or written for first season and never filmed.
You
And
know-
so when they got to season 2, they were like, okay, we've got these 2 to burn.
Yeah.
Let's do this, and then we
Actually-
can focus on later season stuff.
Now that I'm thinking about it, the evidence for because I was like Topa breaks it, but Topa really doesn't break it because season 2 episode 1, where they have to go to a urination ritual for Bortus because his species only go to the bathroom once a
yeah,
year.
they just pulled they pulled a Spock. They pulled a
Yeah.
Spock. I have to have sex once every 7 years. Yeah.
So, and all of a sudden, there's just like this short little Mocklin with them, and I'm looking at him like, is that Topa? Like, I think that is. And then they like, they don't actually. I don't think they ever explicitly say him, but in episode 2, like they clearly reference this is Topa. This is. You know who he is. So it's very possible that season 2, episode 2 was a way to show that Topa grew up, and then season 2, episode 1 was just Topa still exists.
Yeah.
That's. I mean,
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. And
it's hard
this
to
is
say.
not to
It
take
is hard
away
to
like
say. This is just
like-
a fun conspiracy. It's not
Yeah.
even really a conspiracy, but it's just a fun thing to think about.
don't take away my unlocking.
I have the power to do that. I created
do.
it.
I also want to shout out again, getting into the Alara episode very quickly. That had 2. I love the fact that there's a lot of Star Trek alumni who are in the background of the show. Brandon Braga is one of the co-executive producers, and he was like one of the showrunners, and I think was one of the creators on like DS9 and Enterprise and stuff like that. But Robert Picardo, who played the Doctor in Voyager, and I forget the actor's name, but the guy that takes them all hostage
Yep.
was the Doctor in Enterprise, which I'm just now realizing as I say that out loud, which is even funnier because I knew they had both been on Star Trek before, but they were also both doctors, the Doctor character for their shows, and they. Oh my God, are they amazing? Robert
Yeah.
Picardo, who played Alara's father, um, his final scene where he is like breaking down and crying, like the guy brought so much gravitas to an
Yeah.
episode to a silly episode of television, like brought it all to it, and then also just the couple that are keeping them hostage as like are just fantastic through that whole episode,
Yeah. That
especially
episode.
because they're like anti-vaxxers.
Yep. Yeah. That episode was crazy.
That
Like,
was like funny
it
games
was.
and Rare Window if
Yeah.
it's all stuck together.
It was crazy. It was so cool though. And really well done. And I just really, really hope that Alara comes back because I honestly don't know if I would want to keep watching it without her. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
No,
Claire is my second favorite, but I don't know. Like, there's not a
there's
lot
only
of
so much
Claire
action you can.
stuff. But
Yeah, there's only so much action you can get out of a
yeah.
doc.
Also, I mean, in the first season, I feel like Claire was so present, like just as much as Alara. But so far there's only been like snippets of Claire here and there in the second season. So it's like if I get more of Claire, I'll be fine. I'll be good. But I also want Alara
Yeah,
to
the next
like
couple
fill
episodes
in
will tell.
the times.
I
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I optimistically
I'm
suspect
hoping.
that
Yeah.
Alara comes back because I think that like story wise, like because the other part to that is again going along with my idea that that was going to be the season one finale. The idea that she then would come back a few months later as opposed to
Would
next
make
week
sense. Yeah.
would also make
Yep.
sense. It's like yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
we'll
don't know.
see.
We'll see.
I guess we'll see this weekend
But
whenever it comes
also
out.
Discovery comes back this week, and I'm so excited. We get more Spock. We get a third Spock, everybody, and he's bearded this time.
Ooh,
Uh,
bearded Spock.
bearded Spock. We get more of Christopher
That's
Pike, which
exciting.
I love. Bruce Green was great, but I love the original Jeffrey Hunter Christopher Pike for the one episode that he was in, and then the episode later where they spliced in the other episode. God, Star Trek production has been crazy for years, everybody. Um, but I'm excited for all of that. They also just announced that Michelle Yeoh is getting her own show. As I'm not going to spoil anything from the end of the first season of Discovery, but Michelle Yeoh, who died in the first episode that everybody saw, she comes back later in that season in a different form, and they have given that form its own show now, which is great. So we have
Wow.
3 new Star Trek shows coming because there's a Jean-Luc Picard show in the works, and there's an animated series coming called Lower Decks
Wow.
that is going to be all about the people that work like in the fucking brig and the like the dregs of the Enterprise
Yeah,
and
that
of
has to
shows
be
and stuff like that.
animated, doesn't
Yeah, yeah. So there are 3 new shows in the works as well as Discovery coming back.
Wow.
So
That's crazy. That's awesome.
and all of this is also to say that like Star Trek 4 may not be happening because they keep losing directors left and right.
Oh,
So we'll
jeez.
see.
Oh my god. That's exciting.
uh,
That's very exciting.
it is an exciting time to be in like we're in like the new era of Star Trek finally. I think there was a long time where we all thought we were going to be like puttering along with just every few years they would give us a new Kelvin timeline movie
Yeah.
maybe, but I love the idea that Discovery, a show that pissed so many people off, is like no, it's the thing that brought back Star Trek. So everybody
So you're welcome.
relax. Yes. You're welcome for what was an awesome show that you should all go watch at some point. It's on Blu-ray now. People rent it off a Redbox. That's all I got.
Need to try.
I got
need to do it. Oh man. Well, I'm done. That was my week, pretty much.
Yeah, next week hopefully I'll have more Kingdom Hearts news, I'm sure.
Yay!
I'm in season 10 of Smallville, so I'm right at the end. We're in
Hey,
the last season.
maybe by next week I'll finish my Pokedex. Who knows?
There you go.
Anything is possible.
After we spent an hour trading, I was like, oh God, did I forget to trade a Goldeen? No, I just forgot to go catch one. Because it shows up in one spot. Goldeen shows up in one spot.
Okay, I was gonna ask about Goldeen because I'm like, I need Goldeen. I need
Route
Goldeen.
6, Route 6 on the very little strip of water that's there between, like, right north of Vermilion City is just the
Oh,
only spot that Goldeen, the only spot, and you need to use
wow,
alert to do it for some dumb reason. I
wow,
caught 2 Sea Kings before I caught a Goldeen.
wow.
What? Game? Anyway.
What game? Nice. Oh man. Well, this has been. Do I end it because you opened it? I don't
Sure. I think
remember.
that's what we did last week. I don't think we've ever solidified
This is
that, but
like our
that works.
40-second episode, and we still don't know how to begin and end the episode.
You're also very confident in numbering the episode because I have no
Yeah.
idea what.
I'm almost positive it's a 40-second. We're getting there. We're getting there to 50. We're almost there. This has been Say Report Jr., a podcast you should be listening to, subscribe to, and downloading each week. You can also find us on I was gonna say Instagram. We don't have an Instagram.
Oh,
Yet.
I don't even have a personal Instagram.
I know. I love Instagram. That's another conversation for another time. Anyways, you can find us on YouTube at by searching Say Report Jr. All of our episodes are on there. Well, not all of them.
All-ish
Episodes.
I got some time this week. I'll get there.
Yeah, all-ish episodes are on our YouTube channel, as well as we have 2 video game playthroughs that Zach and I did. Zach played a little bit of Stardew Valley and introduced me to that.
We could spend 100 hours playing through Stardew Valley if you really want.
No.
There's no end goal to that game, so like,
No.
I guess we could go.
I could just come up with more conspiracies about why it's all about murder. So, and then there's also one about for Do-Re-Mi Fantasy, Mylon's Doki Doki Adventure, which I played and introduced Zach to. Hopefully we have some more of those coming out. So definitely find us on YouTube. You can also follow us on Twitter at sayreportjr, and you can follow each of us individually. I am at Dale's Brain.
And I am at Zerwisky.
Woohoo! Anything else, Zach?
Nope, let's go get ice cream.
Sounds good. Take it away, Liz.
Thank you for listening to The Say Report with your hosts Dale Decker and Zach Sarowick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.